Hey guys, what is up? Kit here of Burn 1 bringing you another deck profile, this time on OTK Chimera Rune. This deck is a lot of fun right now, and I know that a lot of people are back and forth whether this deck is like highly competitive or not. Is this a fraudulent deck or not? All I know is I have a lot of fun playing this deck, and watching people just immediately lose the game once my Chimera hits the board is hilarious. So let's just go ahead and get right into this deck profile. Alright, so here's the deck itself. We'll just go ahead and get right into it. First up is this one Magical Owl 1-drop 1/1, and we talked a bunch about this card in our Rune setcraft review. It's basically a 1-drop penguin that doesn't require an Evo. I like this card a lot just because of that. It has Rush too, so if you need to trade it in immediately into something just so you can get that draw again, that ditch draw, it's very good. So far, I've liked it as a 2 of. I don't know if I'd play it as a 3 of, but it's been really solid as a 2 of, and I really enjoy this card. We're playing Spell Chain, so obviously 3 of Insight adds some consistency since it's just a filter, or a cycle that is. A really good card for Spell Chain. This is basically our Angelic Snipe. You either play this or Angelic Snipe as a 3 of, or you can do some kind of split whether you want to or not. Stops early game aggression, and is just a solid card all around, adds more to the spell chain. Mystic Ring here is used to bottom deck our chimeras that we draw. It helps us set up for that Daria turn so we can get the OTK off and do 30 damage to our opponent. Card has been solid overall. I play it currently as a 2 of. You can cut this to a 1 of if you'd like. Though right now as a 2 of, I've felt like it's been good. I don't normally get clogged with both of them in my hand at any real point in the game. You end up using it twice sometimes because you'll draw into the second Chimera in your deck, and you just want to bottom deck it and set up for a back-to-back Daria deal 10, deal 30 type of situation when your opponent is healing a lot or banishing cards, making it hard for you to just get the easy OTK. Agonist Tachyon, let's all be honest, this card is busted. This is the card that makes it so a lot of our 4 damage or 2 damage spells here or there, or just playing other stuff like Insight, is suddenly clearing board while advancing our game plan. Along with that, obviously we're playing the Evo, which is insane as well. On Evo, we get to select the spell in our cemetery and bring it back to our hand, so we can recycle a lot of things whenever we want. If we need to get like Chain of Calling or Insight just to cycle more, Witch Bolt back to our hand, anything we want, Fate's Hand even, all very good targets. Realm Wind even too. This is just such a good Evo. Why are we not maxing out on it? Penguin Wizard, here's our boy. If you can open this, you feel great. You can start turboing your graveyard just so you can get that spell chain 30. But solid card overall. We only play 2 of the Evo since we have 3 Tachyon Evo, and I opted to play 3 of Merlin, even though Merlin isn't the best card in this list. Sometimes you don't want to play Merlin because it kind of messes up your setup, but Merlin's still such a powerful card, you have to be playing it. So obviously we play this as a 2 of, and we opted for triple Merlin, triple Agonist Tachyon. Another Chain of Calling. This is such a powerful card because it lets you turbo through your deck. Once you set your Chimera to the bottom of your deck, you can start playing these to just like zoom through your deck to get to that part you need to, and then set up the Daria Evo, pull out all of the Chimera and everything to set up the OTK essentially, and get there as soon as possible once you're ready to pop off, that is. Randomly recover 1 play point too if you're at Spell Chain 10, which is solid. What can I say? Can't really complain here. This can find you penguins, this can find you tachyons and so forth. It's such a good card. Rhyme Wind here is to deal with any of the followers that we just don't want to be seeing. Things like Daiwa or Vodka and stuff. We can just bounce it back to the top of our opponent's deck or into their hand, setting them back a turn. That way we can just buy us enough time to win the game. This also outs a non-evolved elephant, so if elephant tries to swing in at us when we have 2 open, we're always threatening Rhyme Wind unless it evos, which is very strong. Surefire Bullet in here as a 2 of. There's still evos that are 4 health. We just got to get rid of them. It's still a spell too, which means worst case scenario we just ditch this to a penguin or a magic owl to just remove it. It means Surefire Bullet is just a solid 2-drop. Trail of Light, since we'll be ditching cards all the time and drawing, we need Trail of Light. It's just so free off of penguins, off of Magical Owl. Having another ditch outlet to this card is just, all of it's just very solid all around. Merlin, like I said, such a strong card, but also can hurt your game plan depending on your deck state. So a lot of times you don't want to be slamming Merlin down if you've already set up the Chimera stuff, because usually it's more important to get to the Chimera turn than it is to search for something with Merlin for value. So unless it's very important or you haven't set up your Chimera stuff yet, then you can slam Merlin whenever you want. Obviously, on play, search for a spell. We have so many good spells here to be searching out, but the big one is on Evo. We can recast a spell that costs 3 or less in our cemetery for 0 play points, and we have such good cards like, you know, Witch Bolt, Fate's Hand, Chain of Calling. All of these are just so good. Even Rime Wind is a good card to like use. It's just, you know, Merlin's Merlin. Let's all be honest. It's an amazing card. Fate's Hand is a 2 of, obviously, so very good Merlin target. Solid target to just be casting anyway. It draws 2. We can dig through our deck faster because that's the big thing. We just want to keep digging as much as possible, so we can get to that turn where we can just pop off and hit them with the 30 OTK damage. Witch Bolt, once again, another solid card. Any followers we see that hit over 4 defense, this is our answer to them. If we see one at 6, we need Tachyon, plus this is still super powerful as well. If this is just such a good card, a lot of times you combo this with Merlin, which means you're always going to get the draw. Sometimes you don't, but it's just too good of a card to pass up and, you know, not play. This is another nice card. I really like this card just because it fits into your game plan. It puts pressure onto the board and has a way to discard spells from your hand to clear board. So this is Mr. Highland and Shadow Mage, 5-drop 4/4. When it comes into play, put the top 4 cards of your deck into your cemetery and recover X play points, where X equal the number of spells you put into your cemetery by this ability. So a lot of times, honestly, you're only going to get anywhere from like probably 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky. But a lot of times you're just going to get about 2 play points refunded from this card. There's only been 1 time so far in testing where I actually got 4, just due to how the deck spread is on spells plus followers. But the secondary effect is really powerful. It turns all of your 12 lights into ditch a card, deal 4 damage immediately. And then this follower, if it stays on the board, you can just keep turboing out and removing things off the board. So your opponent has to remove it as soon as possible. Otherwise, I feel like they start losing the game at that point, because you get a turbo through your deck and remove things, as well as, you know, start swinging in for 4 if you want. So you can get to a point where maybe even 10 damage is just enough off of a Chimera to win the game. So your opponent has to respect this guy. All right, Daria Dimension Witch. This is one of the key pieces to the combo. So generally the game plan is we want to get to a point in the game where we are like 8 or 9 play points, or if we're at 8, we want an Evo point. If not, we want to be at 9 so we can pop off. So we play Daria here once we set up our deck, till we turbo through our deck, till we put where it's the area where we put the Chimera at, and then we play Daria, discard our hand, put top 5 cards of our deck into the EX zone, and then not only that, all the followers we're playing in this now turn into basically count towards spell chain, which is really powerful because we need that 30. So we need like 30 cards in our grave to just pop off, which is actually super doable. If you play this deck enough, you'll start seeing the line, seeing how quick you can get to it. It's really good. Daria helps us get there because once again, we discard our hand, which is usually around 5 to 7 cards in our hand all the time, depending on how the game's going. That's basically adding extra 5 spell chain to your cemetery. And then the whole point of the combo is we Evo into it. We get to use the select follower in your EX area, and for the rest of the turn, it becomes 5 less to play. Obviously, we're going to pick Chimera, and then we'll play Chimera for 2 play points on turn 9 or turn 8. If we used Evo point, that is, then we have spell chain 30, and then we just deal 30 damage to our opponent, and then the game is over at that point. One thing you got to watch out though is if your opponent has lots of ways to heal and they get out of that 30 range, you want to be looking at ways to set up a double Chimera turn. That's how you win those matchups. So you'll get the second Chimera, put it to the bottom of your deck, and the general game plan is once you play your first Daria, you'll play your second Daria to set up another one that you pull out of your deck once you've like cleared some spaces out of your EX zone. Otherwise, you'll have to play the second one from hand the following turn on turn 9 or 10 if you have it in hand already. It's just, you have lots of cool lines. It's just sometimes Giant Chimera in your hand is just a bricky card you want to get rid of. That's why we have the Ring, Mystic Ring to help set it up. and get it out of our hand and like basically trade it in for another card. Yeah, it just deck is a lot of fun. Really, you want to try it out. The biggest thing is you got to get used to counting the cards on the bottom of your deck when setting this up. And if you have good memorization, because you're not allowed to take notes as far as I'm aware in tournament play for this game, if you have good memorization, you can memorize where certain key pieces you need. Like if you put a Rhine to the bottom of your deck, or like a Merlin, Fate's Hand, and stuff like that, you can figure out where those are at. So when you go off with your Daria turn, you can get the key spells you need for removal or to draw more cards and so forth to get through your deck faster. It's just, this deck is so much fun, and it definitely rewards players who like can think of the lines obviously and set up for the giant Chimera turns. It's just a lot of fun overall. Okay, just if you're looking for a fun deck to bring to locals at the bare minimum, this is a deck you can bring and you might win locals. I still am on the fence on whether this deck is like hyper competitive or not. I do think it is at a point where it can be very competitive. The only issue you have to be worried about is that a lot of your kill turns obviously happen on turns 8 and 9, and sometimes those turns aren't always guaranteed, but you have enough control utility in this deck that you should be getting to turns 8 and 9 pretty consistently, and you should be hitting the 30 spell chain very easy off of Daria on turns 8 and 9, especially if your opponent is not banishing your cards. If you play against Haven and they start banishing things, it gets kind of awkward where you might be a couple cards short of going to 30, so you have to like prolong the game a little longer. But outside of that, the deck is great. It's consistent, it's powerful. You don't really have to care about your opponent's life as long as they don't go above 30. It's a great deck. Hopefully you Rune players out there enjoy this and test it out. Let me know what your giant Chimera lists are. I'm very interested to see what spicy things come out of the giant Chimera community. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you made it this far, and I hope to see you guys in our next video. Later.